right, I am back with another This Week at Tassi for a weekly news roundup. This will be my last video until after the holiday, and we'll just go through some of the major stories of this week along with what I'm currently playing. We will start with Xbox, where Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, doubled down on the whole everything is an Xbox ad campaign, where he says that they are redefining what it means to be an Xbox fan, which I think some existing Xbox fans did not love. And I question what it means to acquire an Xbox fan that has formerly not owned an Xbox in any capacity. I think that's their dream. I think that is not the closest thing to a reality. This comes in the wake of this big campaign about how you can play Xbox on all these different devices. Most of those devices not being on an actual box or PC means you're playing through cloud streaming, phones, tablets, non-gaming laptops, smart TVs, Amazon Fire Sticks, a lot of stuff. And this also comes with the news the same week that Xbox had a year-over-year 30% drop in hardware. If you've been following along this year, a 30% drop of hardware with Xbox has been the case pretty much every time this has been reported. The difference here is that this is Call of Duty launch month, and this was a huge launch. It dramatically surpassed last year's on all platforms, and yet it may be pushing kind of these other aspects of Xbox, but doing nothing to push hardware sales or stem those declines at all. And Xbox is actively campaigning against its own consoles at this point, so it's not exactly shocking that this is happening this way, but it is kind of an increasingly bizarre situation. The problems are twofold here. First of all, you're just becoming not really a hardware brand at all, even if you still are making hardware. I would argue that this Xbox generation has been kind of weird from the start with the S-X split, with I think most consoles being sold are definitely S's, and now we have a lot of games struggling a little bit with parity or having to do extra work for parity. And this came up again where someone was talking about The Witcher 4 potentially running on Series S in a couple of years, and yeah, it seems like a stretch. But Xbox is pushing that idea that no, you don't need to be loyal to a box. You can have a smartphone and stream Xbox, even though you're just streaming your kind of game library or Game Pass or whatever. And then the second aspect of this, which is not necessarily in the news this week, but is a kind of a constant thing, is that Xbox has no real true exclusives anymore going forward. Maybe this was this week, but I think it was Jez Corden reporting that nothing is off the table, literally nothing. Anything in the future could be multi-platform or almost is likely to be multi-platform. This came up after the Game Awards, where The Outer Worlds 2, which I think at one point was supposed to be fully Xbox exclusive, is coming to PlayStation. There was an ad running where the Xbox ad had all the brands on it, and then the PlayStation ad just had PS5 on it, because what do they get? Why do they care? Just screw Xbox. We don't have to put that on there. So I think the loss of even Microsoft caring about their own console to any great extent, and then this idea that nothing is truly exclusive anymore. I think it was Clover on Twitter where I quoted him, where he was saying if one console can have Marvel's Blade and Marvel's Spider-Man, and the other one just has Marvel's Blade, which one are you going to get? It's not really a no-brainer if all of these Xbox games just start coming to PlayStation, but PlayStation games don't come to Xbox. So I think on those two fronts, this is kind of the whole redefining Xbox issue that keeps coming up kind of week after week here. There was a alleged plot leak of Intergalactic from 4chan in a way that I thought was actually quite funny. It is true that sometimes there are legitimate 4chan leaks. I know that, 4chan is 4chan, but sometimes that does happen, certainly. This one, the claim here was that a Naughty Dog insider who is disgruntled with Neil Druckmann emailed a summary of the plot to a bunch of game journalists, including Jason Schreier, who all got on the secret game journalist Discord and talked about whether they should publish it. But his friend was also in that Discord somehow and decided to just publish it. Jason Schreier immediately came out and said, like, no, that's not true. I think they cited Jason Schreier because, like, he's kind of the only gaming journalist a lot of people know by name. So just dropping his name, be like, oh, credibility. Okay. There is no group like that, as far as I know. I'm just not invited. The plot, I'm not even going to like fully go through it, but like it's essentially, you could say this is a spoiler warning, but like this is not a true thing. It's about this group, the Five Aces, where they've disbanded, and the main character Jordan is like tracking down her former teammates, and then they discover that there's this kind of alien race that used to be human that got warped by intergalactic travel, and they're led by the heretic prophet, and their goal is to go back to their homeworld and cleanse it and reclaim it for themselves. Okay, a lot of things here where the leak only mentions Camille Nanjiani and Tony Dalton, who you could clearly see those were the actors if you just watch the trailer. So I find a lot of leaks are spun out of things you already know, and there's a lot of information on that board about Five Aces and stuff. And then you're just kind of making leaps and bounds from there. At one point, there's like a plot point where Tony Dalton's character, is loyal to the new aliens, and like they're like, it's like Heart of Darkness. It's like, yes, it's literally Heart of Darkness. And then the last thing seems to be like based on the idea that like Neil Druckmann is super pro-Israel and has made statements like that, and he's doing his own version of like the Israel-Palestine story with this space thing. Again, we knew that he said this was based on religion, that we don't know exactly what that means, but here this leak is like, it's Israel-Palestine. No, none of this is real. Like, if this the whole premise doesn't make sense, because like if this was a Naughty Dog employee who like wanted to do damage to the game, why would they not have leaked all this before the Game Awards premiere? And the reason is because this is fake, and they needed the Game Awards premiere to have any information about the game at all, whoever made this leak up. So you take what you know, you write a bunch of fan fiction, here we are. If this is all true in 4 years or whatever, you can tell me 4chan told me so, but I doubt it. Fortnite has been really interesting this week. Some of the wildest things I've seen in this game. So they did a Skibidi, is that how you pronounce it? Skibidi toilet crossover. The famous, ridiculous Gmod show / meme about the dude's head in the toilet. It's like a real Zoomer kind of meme that I'm not going to judge. We had our weird ass millennial memes that probably would have been in Fortnite if it was 10 years later. But you can have the toilet as a back bling. There's a guy named Plunger Man who has like a TV for a head or a video camera or something. And it is probably one of Fortnite's most random crossovers to date, followed by what may be the second most random crossover. There's currently, at the time of this recording, there is currently a giant ice block melting in the middle of the Fortnite map that we know contains Mariah Carey. Literally, Mariah Carey in a Fortnite skin, where soon she will emerge from her cocoon, supposedly at 3 p.m. Eastern today, and sing All I Want for Christmas Is You, and there's going to be an emote. Okay. This whole thing is an homage to... There's this video where like she's in a block of ice and it shatters like once it's time to roll out Christmas stuff, like after Halloween. And like, so they're just doing the same thing here. I thought it was going to be a giant Mariah Carey, but it's melting so low. I think it's like a normal Mariah Carey, which is much less fun. Yeah. So this is now a game where you can have Mariah Carey fight Godzilla and Master Chief. They've done a lot of musicians. I think they've done more musicians than any other category, but there's only like kind of a couple like older school quote unquote musicians. It's pretty much her and Metallica are like the ones that are not like super modern day. I guess Snoop Dogg, but he's been kicking for all this time and is still, I would argue, relevant. So yeah, just ridiculous stuff happening in Fortnite. Borderlands, some good Borderlands 4 information today, some of which came out in interviews after the Game Awards, which it all really sounds good. There's a lot of changes to mobility coming. We heard about the grappling hook, but today I think it was based on a German interview with Randy Pitchford. There is news that you will be able to do like dashing in the game and also double jumps. So they are between all of those things, plus they added, mantling and sliding and stuff previously. They're really going for mobility here in a way that the series is not. I really don't have time for people who think this is bad and like it's changing Borderlands. Like, Borderlands gameplay is not the best compared to everything. Like, guns are cool, kits are cool, but like the moment to moment shooting is like, there are better games. And I think the more Borderlands improves gameplay, the better it's going to be. They also confirmed it's like completely cross-play. I think it's cross-save. They confirmed that you can just spawn a car out in the middle of nowhere and just go anywhere. It's like a horse, essentially. No more catch-a-ride stations and walking to those very slowly. And then before this, they confirmed it was a completely open world, and anything you see in the map you can go to. It's, Skyrim or most open world maps or whatever that's like. Everything I've seen about this is very cool. Oh, I forgot the last one where the head writer responded to reference my tweet about how Borderlands is going to make a Hawk Tuah gun. And he's like, if I will do that, like, I will put my hand in a meat grinder. And he said that, or in a sink grinder, and that there would be no Skibidi references in Borderlands 4, even though there is in Fortnite now. Essentially, it's going to be less toilet potty humor. I don't know, obviously it's Borderlands, it's going to be comedy, but I think they're trying to go not quite as far in that direction in terms of memes that will no longer be relevant in like 2 years, which I think has been a problem with some of the past games. And, I hope it's funny, but I hope it's funny in like a way that's actually funny and not just like poop jokes and swearing. Like, actual funny writing would be good here. So hopefully they can deliver on that. All right, circling back around to what I am playing. You probably caught my whole Path of Exile drama this week. I made a video about how I didn't like the end game and I was stopping until they fixed some stuff. That got reacted to as my most disliked video ever. That got reacted to by all these different creators where, like, Quinn started this RPG guy who did this with my Diablo video too. He roasted me, but then like Asmongold did it, and then Darth Microtransaction just did a video, and everyone's like, this isn't that controversial. Like, I got a couple details wrong, but everyone's like, yeah, these are kind of normal complaints. But what happened is essentially right after I made this video, the next day, Path of Exile just dropped a big endgame patch, which maybe didn't solve everything, but fixed a lot of the issues that I was having, mainly in terms of like cheap deaths where, you only get one stab at these endgame maps, and if you die for any reason, you're out of the map. You lose your waystone you used to get in the map. Very punishing. At higher levels, you lose experience. I was like, if this is going to be how it is, and like, I watched the video from Crip. It said like this only gets worse later and doesn't really change. I'm like, okay, well, if that's true, people said I was just saying Crip's opinion, but like I was just using Crip to say like, if he's in the end game and this is what he's telling me it's going to be like, I'm like, I don't want to play this. But since the patch dropped so soon, I jumped back into it, and I've been playing since then. I will do a full video about this after the holiday. It's definitely improved a lot. They fixed a lot of things like random white mobs would just crit you and one-shot you out of nowhere. They fixed a lot of like the floor effects that would kill you without you being able to see them. They fixed things like nerfing your resistances at higher levels. And so between that and between like some lucky rolls on my gear, I'm up to like, I don't know, 12, 13,000 DPS on my Ranger. I'm doing really well now in terms of like getting through the tiers. I was struggling for, to not randomly die on the early maps. And then I ran out of waystones for a while. But after some upgrades, I'm now generating waystones, as frequently as I need them. And my build, like, I can clear, I don't even think I've like tried to max out yet, but like I've cleared tier 14 out of 16 things I just do so much damage that most stuff just dies before it comes near me. If stuff does come near me, I'm usually evasive enough to avoid it. The only times I really die now is when you do one of those like little mini games and they instantly spawn like 50 things on top of you in a small space. Die to those a lot. So sometimes I just don't click on those. Certainly a lot of things to deal with. So the one portal thing, which wasn't even in Path of Exile 1, I think is still a problem that needs some looking at. Doing that and having you lose 15% XP when you die in a map sucks. And because like eventually XP takes a good amount to get. But yeah, they definitely have proved it. I know I feel like a hypocrite. I'm like, I'm quitting the game, but like I didn't think they were going to do an end game patch like 24 hours later. So yeah, I'm back. I'm playing it, and this is probably what I'm going to be playing for the foreseeable future. Obviously, my style of play is I'm more likely to devote a bunch of time to Path of Exile than I am, getting good at Marvel Rivals, a PvP game. I'll probably do indie eventually. I don't really have the desire to right now. But yeah, so I will do a full Path of Exile video that I would imagine is probably not going to be as controversial. Then again, I didn't think the one I made was going to be as controversial as it was. When things quote break containment, it can get crazy because like when I published that, you guys watched it and it was like 5, 6, 7, 8,000 views and everyone's like, oh yeah, good info. Oh yeah, I agree. And then like it broke out and I got like the most hate comments, the most dislikes I've ever seen. I'm like, okay. But it was good to see some of even the bigger creators being like, no, actually, like, he's right about some things, but, I do think I should have given it more of a chance before I went and fully made a video like that. And I was going to after they fixed it, which I did. So yeah, there'll be more to talk about with that later. But yes, I can still recommend the game, and I think it's very fun in many ways. So anyway, thanks for watching. Have a Merry Christmas, whatever holiday you celebrate. Happy New Year. And I will see you guys. I'll be back before the new year, but after Christmas. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.